Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for all coming along to have a look at our little presentation on learning journals. We've got quite a few in today. Seems that January has maybe prompted everyone to take a look at what they're doing in the nurseries. So it's good to have you all here. But I think we've got a few people who are currently on a trial, maybe even a couple using it already, looking for a few tips. So what this morning is going to be about is really just letting everybody who hasn't seen it before get to grips with the basics of the system, give you an opportunity to ask any questions as well, and really just show you how Learning Journals works and what it can maybe do for you. If somewhere on your screen there should be a little excuse me, a little chat box or chat window, you can actually type messages into that and I will get them. So if there's anything you do want to ask me, please do fire a message in there and I will really try and get to as many as we can. If we run out of time, so I do want to keep this to 30 minutes if we can, keep it nice and short for everybody. If we do run out of time, what I'll do is I'll respond to these questions by email. I'm actually recording this session as well, so what I'll do is I'll send out a link to everybody who's here today and everyone that signed up, and they can you can watch this back. So that will go out later today for you as well, so you'll be able to watch this video with maybe with your teams as well. So let me just share my screen with you now and you can have a look and we can begin. So that's Learning Journals website, so you would have seen that before probably, and having a wee look around at what we do. Where Learning Journals came from though, it started at our nursery in Edinburgh, and we realised there was a bit of a gap and nobody was really doing the sort of thing that we wanted done in terms of bringing children's profiles online. So our nursery is still running in Edinburgh. It's called Arbor Green Nursery, and that's where it all began. This is the system as it is at the moment. So this is a demonstration account that I've got set up here. So I'm going to talk you through this now and show you how the system works. It looks exactly the same on an iPad or tablet as it does on the screen that you're looking at it now. Works exactly the same way. The way we've got it set up here is for a typical private nursery setup. So we'd have a baby room, toddler room, preschool room. These rooms, they can be customized to anything you want. They can be any number of rooms. You can have different pictures and different titles. So it's really dependent on how your nursery is set up. But it's really a way of just organizing the children's profiles in the children's folders so that you're able to locate a child when you want to take an observation on one. So if I click into the preschool room here, we'll just see all the children in the preschool room. So here we go. We've got our 8 or 9 children maybe that we've got in the preschool room here in my test account. Each one of these represents a folder for a child in the nursery. So at the moment you might have a big ring binder with all the profiles for the children in there, and each one of these represents that. If I click on a child's profile, that will open it up. So I've clicked on Abby here, and you can either click on her face or on the observations button. Now, we've got a mix of people here from England and Scotland. This particular child is currently following the EYFS curriculum. I'll take you through the curriculum for excellence children as well. All the curricular information for every curriculum throughout the country is on here, so you don't have to go and add anything in or download anything extra. But if I take you through a profile here, we can learn a little bit more about it. So here are the observations that have been taken for Abby. So this is one observation down here, and the observations scroll from the newest to the oldest, and they just go back in time all the way until the child actually began at the nursery. If I scroll back up the top and focus on a particular one here, we've got the date the observation was taken, the curriculum the child's following, the particular part of the curriculum this particular observation applies to. We've got a description here. Julia has just told me that she's lost audio. Hopefully everyone else is able to hear me okay. Yeah, I think you can swap to the phone, Julia, but you'll need to do that through your own system. So I'll let you try that. But as I say, I am recording this, so you can watch it back later. We've got a description here for this particular observation. This is the only part that the practitioners and the staff will actually need to write in here. Everything else is pretty much done for you. We've got photographic evidence on the right-hand side. We can actually have video evidence as well, so you can actually upload videos of the children, which is great. It tells you which member of staff took this observation, and if it's been changed since then, it would say when it was last updated. You can have a next step in each observation as well, so there's an option to put in a next step. And we've got comments down here. So comments can be made by parents or by children, and you can have as many comments as you want on each observation. As I say, this looks exactly the same on an iPad or tablet as it does on the screen you're looking at now. So if you want to take an observation for Abby, what you would do is you would just click on the Add Observation button. We've tried to make the system as simple as possible. Realize that there are a huge huge varying degree of comfort with things like technology throughout nurseries, so we want to make it as easy as possible. So really all you have to do is follow the instructions and just go through this 4-step process. So first of all, you choose your learning outcome type, and we've got the different parts of the EYFS curricula here. If this was a curriculum for excellence child, it would have the 8 curricular areas here. You just choose whichever one applies to what you're seeing, like maths and numbers. Then you describe your observation. I like to point out here that the system will allow you to take observations quickly, but it won't automatically make you take a better observation. So you still do need to make sure that your team are well trained in how to take a good observation, making sure it's descriptive and evaluative, and it does link back thoughtfully to the curriculum. Now, having said that, I am just going to quickly put in here that Abby was learning to count to 10. You would never put something as simple as that in your observation, but we'll just do that for the purposes of my demonstration. You can have a next step in this section here. So if in the description, if there was something you wanted Abby to work towards or build on, or a goal you wanted to set. So say, for example, Abby was missing out some of the numbers. You could put a next step in here, or make sure you get your numbers the right way around, in order, all that sort of thing. You can also track a next step. So each child's got a next steps tracker so that you can see what outstanding next steps or what goals they're working towards. But not every observation will need a next step, and not every next step will need to be tracked. So this section here is actually optional. You don't actually have to add anything in here if you don't want to. The date and time is automatic, so we can see this down here. But it might be that this was something that Abby did a couple of days ago, and you're only now getting around to putting this observation in. You can just click on here, change the date, change the time as well. Uploading a photo is where you'll see the biggest benefit in saving time. Now, if I do it on my computer here, it's just going to ask me to search through the computer's files. If you do it with an iPad or another tablet, it will ask you if you want to take a new photograph, and then it will activate the camera, and you can upload that photograph there and then. So instead of having to go and get a digital camera, connect it to the printer, print the image out, cut it out and stick it in, it does it all straight away for you. Now you can see on here we've actually activated the video files as well. So photos are great combined with a good description. However, videos are fantastic because you can actually, get the child's voice into the observation. You can see how they're interacting with their peers and the materials and all the activities that you've got there. So videos are really, really good as well. Here we go, we can upload a file. I'm just going to pick any picture. I'm going to pick a dragon at random. You can have up to 4 photos in an observation. And you can see how quickly this is happening here. Now, it will depend a little bit on your internet speed. We do have an offline app for iPads and Android iOSs in development. That should be available in the next few weeks. I'll do one more, do this fox. Okay. Margaret has just asked me, can parents see the tracking? No, they can't, Margaret. You're jumping ahead there. So we've got a tracking element in here, and it's not visible to parents because we felt that parents might not interpret the tracking correctly. So what we've done is we've left that up to you to discuss that with parents when they come in for things like parent consultations or parent one-to-ones, however you want to manage that. I'll go into tracking a little bit though in a little while. So we've got our photographs, move on to the next stage, and this is where we connect it back to the curriculum. So this child was following the EYFS, so here we've got all the EYFS development matter statements. Now, again, if this was on the Curriculum for Excellence, this would be the Curriculum for Excellence experiences and outcomes, all detailed down below here. And all you do is you choose whichever statement applies to the observation you've just done. So we can actually see there's one here, recites numbers in order to 10, and we just click this green box beside it, and that will add it to our observation. You can have as many different statements as you want though, so there's no limit to that. So I can maybe add a couple more in here. These numbers that are down the right hand side, so we've got 0, 1, 4, 1. This is telling us that this child has had, in this example, they've had 4 observations linked to this statement already. So they've done this 4 times. We've had 1 observation for this one, but these ones with a 0, we've got no evidence that they've experienced this particular part of the curriculum in their profile. You can actually go across curricular areas as well. So if I scroll back up to the top, we can see we're in maths and numbers, but quite often an observation will straddle many different curricular areas. So let's say that's in understanding as well, or speaking, or making relationships, whatever it would be. We can just go into each of these, click on these green buttons, and add in the statements to this observation. Now, once they've been added in, they appear back up the top of our page here. So you can, if I scroll back up the top, these are the different statements that I've decided I want to link to my observation. Before we can move on, what we're asked to do is use this panel on the right-hand side to rate the child's understanding. So it's making an assessment of where the child is. Now, by default, this says red, amber, green. You can change the labels here. You can have it to developing, consolidating, secured, emerging, expected, exceeding, 1, 2, 3, bronze, silver, gold, wherever you want, that can be done. This is a part that parents do not see. They won't get to see the ratings you've done. So relating back to Margaret's question there, can parents see the tracking? No, they can't. They won't be able to tell if you've marked the child at red, amber, green, or whatever you decided to call them. Once you made your selection, you can move on to the next stage. Now in the in the UIFS, the next stage is the characteristics of effective learning. So we've got the 3 different characteristic categories and then the characteristics themselves down the bottom here. In different curricula, this page looks different. So for example, in Curriculum for Excellence, we've got, in the Curriculum for Excellence, we've got the I can statements or the scenario indicators, for example. So that's in there too. Susan says that she lost us for a while there. Susan, I'm recording this, so I'm going to send a link round to everybody by email. You'll be able to watch the full demonstration back and rewind and rewatch whatever bits you need to. You don't actually have to make a selection here if you don't want to, so we can move on to the last stage. And this is about connecting it up with previous next steps. So if you remember back in stage 1, we could have added a next step and we could have chosen to track that. Any tracked next steps show up for every subsequent observation at this stage here. So here we can see a previous observation that had the next step to encourage Abby to perform stories and use her imagination using our drama area. Now, usually you probably have many more than one next step here. And what the system is asking is, does the observation we've just completed, Abby was learning to count to 10, does it achieve any of the next steps that were outstanding for this particular child? Now, in this case, it doesn't, but if it did, we could link these 2 observations together so that in her next steps tracker, we would be able to see when the next step was identified, when it was achieved, and what the child actually did to achieve that next step. Now, obviously, you don't have to make a selection here if there's no correlation between any of the outstanding next steps. You then choose if you want to publish the observation, save it for later, or delete it. If you save the observation for later, parents won't be able to see this when they log in. So it's important to remember that anything you publish on here, a parent will then be able to see. So don't publish anything you're not ready for a parent to be able to see. Even if you have published it though, you can still go back and edit it. There's no limit to the number of times you can edit it. You can change your descriptions, you can change the photographs, all that sort of thing. A really, really handy feature though is this publish this observation for other children. So if we check this box, you would use this if you have a group activity, so several children doing the same thing. The example I always give is in our nursery, we had the fire brigade down to give us a little description and a little tour around their fire engines. So everybody was involved in that. So all we need to do is choose from the children in this class who was actually involved in this particular activity. And we'll say that Mark, Stuart, Anya and Marcus were all involved in this particular activity. So what this will do is we'll copy all the observation we've just done to these children's profiles. You do have to be careful though. Anything that is in this box here will be copied over in the descriptions for these guys as well. So we've said here that Abby was learning to count to 10, and we don't obviously want that to be said in Mark's, Stuart, Joey's, Anya's, and Marcus's profiles. So we've got a little cheat we can use to personalize this a bit. We could generalize that, and we could just say a group of children were doing a number activity. Or we can use our little cheat, and all you have to do is write in the word first name in these brackets here, and the instructions are all down here. And when we do that and copy it over, it will then replace this code of first name with the first name of each child. So it would then say Mark was learning to count to 10, Stuart was learning to count to 10, etc. So I click begin, copy that over. Amanda's asked how much exactly can the parents see. I'll log into a parent account in just a second, Amanda, so you can see exactly what they can see. That's our observation completed. So if we go back to Abby's observation here we can see our description. Abby's learning to count 10. And at this stage, I can actually type in a little bit more, but missed out the number 7. If you wanted to. And we can update that here. We can see our photographs. And if I click on our outcomes tab, we can see the different statements from the curriculum that we've actually applied to this one here. So that's our observation, and 95% of the time, that is all that your staff will be doing, taking that observation. And I've taken maybe about 15 minutes there to go through that particular observation. But once they've done this a couple of times, it's a very, very simple process, and you can be taking observations in sort of 2 or 3 minutes. Haley's asked there, sorry, what does progression pathways mean? Well, that's actually, sorry, that's just the labeling issue. It's that would actually be the characteristics of effective learning. So this child's following EYFS, so that should actually say characteristics of effective learning, and that's just a little change I've got to make for that. So I'm going to go through a couple of other features here before we get to some of these questions that are coming in now. So I've clicked on our home tab here. So this is the screen that everybody sees when they first log in. So you can see that there's the observation that we've done. This is our recent observations. You can see the recent observation we just took for Abby here, and we copied it over to all her friends. Now, if I wanted to, I could go and edit the observation straight from here. But what I might do is I can go and look at the one for Mark, and we can just check on our work here. Let's see for his UFS. There we go. So Mark was learning to count to 10. So that's all copied over nicely for us. So we can see our photographs and things in there. And if I want to, I can just edit this observation straight from here. Back on our home tab, if I want to, I can focus on a particular child's observations. So if I only want to see, for example, Anya's observations, I can do that. If I want to do it for a particular staff member, I can do that as well. So say I only wanted to see the observations that Angela has taken this month. Well, we can see that she's not actually done any. And it works the same for any rooms that we want to go, any observations that have only been saved for later, or any particular date range, we can do that as well. Next to our observations, we've got a notifications tab. Okay, so what happens is, this is a list of children who have had no observations in over 7 days. So once a child has had no observations in 7 days, they'll appear on this list here. And this is really a tool for staff and managers to be able to see any children for whatever reason that have not had an observation, and it avoids those children getting missed. It's, you know, if you've got a whole rack of folders, it's really difficult for you to keep track of who's had an observation and who hasn't. This does that for you, and you'll actually also get an email every week with this list on it, just so that you're kept up to date in case you haven't seen it. Now, 7 days is not a very long time, and it's not necessarily a problem if it's 7 days, but when it gets to the likes of 42 days, you know, and it's, you know, especially 165 days, you might want to speak to the key worker here and ask them if they're aware of that, and just make sure that they know exactly what's happening with this particular child. You can put a reason for the absence in here if you want to. There's been a long holiday for Tina. She should be back soon, I'd imagine. So next to our notifications, we've got parent comments. So when we first designed the system, it was really just to make the lives of the staff easier. We quickly found that actually the biggest benefit of this system is the parent involvement. So allowing parents to access their children's profiles at any time allowing to comment on them at any time as well. We would have been lucky to get maybe 10 or 20 parent comments a year from parents coming in, looking at the child's folder and noting down something in that folder. Even if we sent them home, it was difficult to get them to engage with it. And if we sent them home, they sometimes didn't come back in the same condition that they were sent out in. So parents can now log in wherever they are, at work, at home, on the bus, wherever, on their phone, on their computer, on their tablet, and they can leave comments. And we literally have hundreds and hundreds of comments every year, hundreds of comments every month, in fact. And a lot of them are from parents who, it might have been that mum was always the one doing the pickups and drop-offs and dad would never get a chance to see what was happening. Well, now dad can log in and dad can leave his comments as well. I haven't got any comments on here because this is a test account and we don't have any real parents. But they would be displayed down here, and you can go for, you know, up to the last 2 years of comments and see what's been happening. And these are great evidence when you do get an inspection from either Ofsted or the Care Inspectorate to show that you do have a strong link between the parents and the nursery, and it really, really does help to engage those parents. I'll come back to reports in a little while. These are just sort of ad hoc reports that you can do, so things like an end of term summary, all that sort of thing. A new one, if anyone is currently on the system, they may not have seen this new tab that's appeared in the last couple of weeks. We've got it called Parent Stories here. So we now allow parents to upload photographs and contribute a bit more as well. So here we've got one for Mark. Let's just view that one actually if you want to. So here's a kind of an observation from home that a parent can add in. So they can add in their own photograph and they can put their own comments and things in it as well. What I'll do actually, I'll log out now and I'll show you what a parent actually sees. So this is now logging in as a parent. So everybody's got their own username, password and PIN number. Obviously security is very, very important, and it's very, very important that everyone keeps their passwords and PIN numbers safe. I think I might have actually just logged back in as a staff member here. Oh no, we're as a parent. So here we have, if we imagine we're Mark's mum or dad, we're logged in now to his account and we can see all the observations. So here's the one that we just took for Mark there, if you can see. So parents can't edit the observations. All they can do is leave comments here. So, you know, I could just say something like, that's great, Mark. Well done. And we can leave that comment here. And that will then appear back in our dashboard. We can look at the outcomes tab, but you'll notice that we don't see the red, amber, green ratings that we could see in the staff account. All the parent can do is scroll through the old observations for each particular child, or for their own particular child. If the parent has siblings, so if Mark's got in this case, Mark's got a sister called Paige, we can click on this tab and we can see Paige's profile as well. The parents can also look at the child's gallery, and they can see all the photographs that have been uploaded for this particular child. And then we can, if we click on this, we can see what was actually happening here when this child's actually doing this. They can, at any time, they can convert the profile to a PDF if they want to print it out. We advise against printing, but they can do if they want to, but they can convert it to a PDF so they can keep that if and when Mark leaves and he's on to school, they can have a PDF of this profile so they can always have that. The star moments is where Mark's parents would go and they would add in new observations. So here, this is where they can actually contribute a bit more. So this is taking it an extra level from just being able to comment. They can actually now contribute a bit more as well. I'm not going to talk about the daily diary today. That's really for younger children, but that is if you want to record things like nappies and sleeps, all that sort of stuff. Rodna has asked, in the middle of an observation, if you have to leave halfway through writing, is there a way to save what you've written? You need to just quickly zip to the end, Rodna, and then save it for later and then come back. I'm going to log back in now as our staff member. So I'm going to nip back into a children's profile. I'm going to use a curriculum for excellence child here for a little bit of balance as well. and we can have a look at some other features. So if I go into Amy, so you can see how it's slightly different here. For those of you in Scotland, you've got the curricular areas, but the system works exactly the same way. The process of taking observation is exactly the same as well. So if we remember that we had our red, amber, green tracking, what we can do is we can click on this learning tracker here, and this will generate a report for this particular child. And this report is really just giving us an overview of coverage for this child. We can see which particular parts of it or areas of the curriculum there may be lacking in observations, or where they may be lacking in our assessment. So we can see here in Scotland, to give everyone an overview, the health and wellbeing, numeracy and maths, and literacy and English, they're the big 3 areas that everyone needs to focus on. And what we might look at from this is that health and wellbeing should maybe have a few more observations. So we could maybe go and speak to Amy's key worker and say, can we, make sure we're trying to plan for that, or make sure that if you're seeing anything, that we either just take a photograph and then we can come right up later. So it gives you an overview of where there may be gaps in this particular child's learning. We can focus in further if we want to. We can click on this assessment button. This will show us the particular statements from the curriculum. And we can, so here we've got the numeracy and maths statements here. We can see how many observations they've had at each level. You're never going to get an observation for each one. So what you can do is, if you know through your working with this child and your time here with this child that actually this child is secure in this part of the curriculum, we can just manually change that and override that to green there. Now this is something that you might want to share with parents at things like parents' evenings. Isla, yes, there is a recording coming, so if you just joined us, we'll be sending all that out later on. This particular report is for this child only. So you might want to actually look at a lot more children, or all of your children in your rooms. So for example, if we go back here, now this is a new feature that's still being tweaked. It's our cohort tracking. So any existing customers, you won't be able to see this yet unless you're part of our testing group. This will give us a report for all children. Now, bear in mind, this is a test account, so I don't have very many children here, and the children that we do have don't have very much real data. So if I click on our EYFS children here, let's have a look and see what we've got in our preschool room. So instead of just having one child's report, you want to be able to see all and see how they're doing against their peers. So once this report runs, which just takes a couple of seconds, we'll be able to see. So here we go. Now I've only got 2 children here, unfortunately. So you can imagine you'd have a lot more children here. And we've got the curricular areas split down into their different curricular areas, and we've got the age bands here. In Scotland, obviously this would look slightly differently. And we can, now we can see where children are compared to the rest of their peers in these different areas. We might feel that actually Abby, for this age group in this part of the curriculum, is actually, we know that she's secure, so we can quickly just use these buttons to do this here. So this is something you'll want to experiment and delve in more deeply into a bit more yourselves. But the entire, it's basically populated when you take observations, but you can go in and you can manually make changes here, and you can do all these yourself. That's something that's I would class as a little bit more than basic, a little bit more advanced. Zohal has asked, how can they demonstrate to parents without using a manager's account? What I would do if you were demonstrating this to parents is just do what I basically did, log in as a parent, have a test child, and then you can show them just show them what they would expect to see. But from a parent's point of view, there's not much they can do. They can only read their own child's profile, and they can add in photographs to those parent contribution sections as well. I'll go through some of the mechanics. It's really simple. So if you want to add a child, it's really, really easy. You just, it's first name, last name, boy or girl, date of birth, choose here from which curriculum you want. So most of you will either be on the early level of the Curriculum for Excellence or the EYFS, but you can see that throughout the country, we've got quite a few other ones available to you. If they're Any educational support needs or English additional language, you can tag the child as that, so that they will then be able to be flagged in reports. Choose which room they are and choose who their key worker is. And that's all there is to it. It's really, really simple. And the same goes for staff and parents as well. So when you want to add a new member of staff, you just click on add new staff, and then you choose the role, either manager or key worker, key person, first name, last name, email address, whether or not they can access the system, and whether or not they have emails. So this, if you have this send emails, this will send out that weekly digest about any children that have missed their observations. And again, the same with parents, dead simple. You would go to add a new parent, first name, last name, email address. Notification settings, so when an observation is taken on a child, the parent will receive an email the day after to say that an observation was taken on your child, why don't you log in? And it's an extra prompt to encourage them to leave that comment and to give you that evidence that they've actually logged in as well. Back in our parents tab, we can actually see when a parent last logged in. So here we can see that this parent, myself, we actually did log in today. We can see the comments they've left. We can edit them if you want to. And we would use this children button here to assign them to their child. So it's very, very important that you make sure that the correct parent is linked up with the correct child, obviously. Okay, we're about to wrap up very soon. If anyone has got any questions they'd like to ask just before we go, I realise it's just a very, very basic overview, and this was really just to give people a flavour of what the system can do. So Susan, can a parent's name be changed? Well, once you've created this parent account here, it can be changed, but what the best thing to do would actually be to delete this parent and just add a new one in with the correct spelling. So if you made a mistake, you would just add a new one in. Now, if anyone is not currently on a trial, if you go to our website, which is learningjournals.co.uk, we've got a free trial button up the top here. You can obviously read around about all the different information that we've got on here, but if you want to go for a free trial, click on the free trial button and fill out this form, and I will get that created for you in the next day or so. You can then use it free for 30 days and you can try it out as much as you want, share it with as many parents as you can. Can you remove a parent and child profile, asks Amanda. So yes, you can. So if you want to, so say that Stuart is the child here. So let's say that Stuart's left the nursery. We don't want William to be able to access the system anymore. We just edit it and then we deactivate his profile. It doesn't, at this stage, it doesn't actually delete William's account. What it does is it sends it into what we call the archived parents. So here we've got the archived parents, and from here we can delete that parent. That works the same with the children as well. So if we go into our children, I'll just pick any child. Let's say that, well, here's Stuart here. So let's say that Stuart's left. We would edit his profile, deactivate him. Now he's not actually left. It may be that Stuart's gone away to New Zealand for 3 months and he's going to be coming back. So we've put him into the archive and we can see all our archived children. And from here, from the archive, we can then actually delete them. However, so Stuart should be here somewhere. There he is. So there's Stuart Gilbert, and we could delete him here. However, once they've been deleted from the archive, then they cannot be recovered. So please bear that in mind. You do get one final chance to cancel that before you actually do it. If the child leaves, can you print everything to hand over to them? You can print it too. Zohal has asked that. You can print it, but as you might have missed it earlier on, but when a parent logs in, they can have access to the same button here. If I just show you and go into any child, Amy's profile, they've got access to this convert profile to PDF button. Parents can get that too. So I would encourage them to use that. Then they can choose to print it if they want to. And with the gallery as well, they can download all those photographs and they would have those as well. Once you've had, you can imagine if this child's been at your nursery for 3, 4, 5 years, you can imagine that the number of observations would make printing quite a large job. So it's up to them if they want to print it. You can print it too, but I would encourage them not to. After all, printing is probably one of your bigger expenses. You'll no doubt be aware that printer ink is very, very expensive. Margaret's asked, what are star moments? So Margaret, those are the parent contribution sections. So you set these up in your settings, and you can call them anything you want. So you might want to call this achievements from home or wow moments or whatever it would be. And these are the parts where parents can access and parents can add in photographs and things from home as well. So here we go. You can see that Amy's parents have said that they planted a tree in our garden, and that's how that works. Is there a number we can call for further help? Asks Lydia. I feel like I'm on a radio show. This is a new experience. So yes, Lydia, you can. If you go to our website, learningjournals.co.uk, our phone number is at the top right here, 0131 212 500. So if you ever need any support, you can phone that number, or you can email me. Sometimes it's easier to put the if you want to put screenshots or something on an email to show me exactly if you do have an issue. I very, very rarely hear from customers, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I suppose. But once they've been set up, they tend to find out that it's a very, very simple system to use, and they can use it very easily themselves. Amanda's asking about reports. So okay, if anyone needs to leave, then I will be sending out a link to this video. I'll go into reports a little bit here so you can maybe find out a little bit more about that. So bear with us if you can. But I'll send out this part of the presentation as a video as well. So there are a couple of things you could do with reports. Let's go back into Amy's observations. You might have in your nursery a templated report that you want to have, or your local authority might have a report that they want every nursery to complete. So it may be in the form of a Word document. And what you can do is you can actually upload that Word document so you can have it completed on here. The way that you access the reports that you've set up are by editing the child and then clicking on their reports tab. And we can have a look at the reports that have been created for this particular child here. Oh, right, well, let me just quickly do that then. So reports are dependent on you adhering to a term. So we can see we've actually got no term today. So I'm just going to set a term up for 2016. So let's add myself in a new term. I'm going to call it 2016, and I'll say it starts from the 1st of January and it goes to end of this year. Now you might want to stick to your school terms. So you might want to have your spring, summer, winter term. Let's create a new, let's go back to our child. Zohal's asked again, school is an international school based in Saudi Arabia following UFS. Yes, you can access the system from anywhere as long as you've got internet access. I guess you might need to, if your facility has got any restrictions on websites you're able to access, you might need to check with them first and ask them to allow this particular website. But yeah, there's no restrictions at all. You can have as many children as you want, as many staff, as many parents, all that sort of stuff. So back to reports. Yeah, so you can have as many reports for a child as well, and you can choose to share reports with children. So let's say we've got an end of term report and we want to complete that. Now this is one we've already set up. You can create this format. This is not an uploaded report, obviously. This is one that we've set up in here. So what the staff member would do was then, maybe add some commentary about how Amy was doing on here. So test info, I'm just going to put that in here, about her behaviour. You can have these headings, you can create as many of these as you want. So you might have it around literacy, and we've got one for numeracy and all that sort of thing. So you put all this information in here as much as you want, as many headings as you want. And if you want to, you can allow the child's parent to view this report. So if we check this box and save the report, the parent's child will be able to see this report in their profile. That's really handy for being able to preempt a conversation at parents' evening, for example. So instead of them turning up and you getting that 5-minute or 10-minute slot, the parents will actually have seen that already. So this P lets me know that the parents can see that. We can go back and we can edit this report as well. You might want to do a 2-year progress check. Now this is an uploaded report, so a particular local authority has got a template that they add in for this. Let's say we want to complete this now. We've already uploaded the template into our system here. So what I do is I download this report. It's downloaded the template for me. I'm going to open this up now. So Microsoft Word's going to open up for us here. And if I bring that over onto our screen, just zoom in for a bit. So you can see that, I think this is Northampton's. Yeah, Northampton's version of the 2-year progress check. So what we would do now is we would fill in our report. Amy, and all this sort of stuff here. So fill out the report just the same way as you would normally do it. You might, your particular council might have something slightly different to this, or you can make up your own one entirely. Once you've completed the report, you would then save it as the file for that particular child, and then you would upload it back to here as well. So we would have our 2-year progress check for Amy, uploaded it, and it would be in the system for Amy. Reports are something that in our user guide that we send out, in our user guide, it's got instructions about how to create these reports and how to upload them. It's all done through our reporting engine in the configuration tab in here. So if you decide to take a trial, you might want to go and have a look at that. If you have any problems at all with it, then you can obviously always give me a call or send us through an email, and we'll help you with that as well. Isla, you may have missed the section earlier on about, you've asked a question about how we do cohort tracking. Well, we did that a little bit earlier on, so I'll send you out the video later on this afternoon, and you can see that. Guys, thank you very, very much for coming along. Hopefully you found this very interesting. Thanks for the very kind comments that everyone sent through as well. That's really nice. Hopefully I've not stumbled over my words too much and it's all been quite clear for you. But if you do have any questions, please do get in touch, either on that phone number, send through a free trial, send me an email. There's a contact form on here as well if you just want to send a basic email. And we'd love to hear from you, love to get you on board, and you can hopefully start to enjoy using learning journals in your nursery as well. Thanks very much, everybody. We will see you again very, very, very soon.